Putin asserts Russia's unchanged stand towards Syria as Turkey reveals that armed men are being trained in Libya to be sent to Syria. Kofi Annan warns that arming the opposition further will aggravate the situation in Syria. And Amos sees in Homs the devastation caused by terrorist groups and meets several Syrian officials. Good afternoon and welcome to News in English, live from our news center here in Damascus. Russian President-elect Vladimir Putin says his country does not intend to change its stand regarding Syria and Iran. In statements to the press, Putin said both issues were regularly discussed during the Russian Security Council sessions. He said everyone has his own opinion, but all of us unanimously hold on to a certain stand regarding basic principled questions, adding that he did not believe there would be any change in this respect. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov will pay a work visit to Egypt on the 9th and 10th of this month. This was declared by the Russian Foreign Ministry, which added in a statement that Lavrov will meet at the Arab League's headquarters the League member countries' foreign ministers, and that views will be exchanged regarding main international and regional issues on the meeting's agenda. The statement pointed out that special interest will be accorded to the situation in the Middle East and North Africa due to the complicated phase of internal changes both regions are witnessing. The statement said Russia intends to focus on the need of maintaining coordinated work to resolve internal political issues in the countries of the region through peaceful means and national dialogue on a wide scale without foreign intervention. The Russian Foreign Ministry concluded its statement saying that Russia's stand is based on the belief that the ongoing volatile social and political situation in the Middle East should not push aside the tasks of finding solutions to earnest issues in the region, including a just and comprehensive settlement to the Arab-Israeli conflict on the basis of international legitimacy. Russia has affirmed that armed men are being trained inside camps in Libya to be sent to Syria. In a word at the United Nations Security Council, Russia's representative to the UN, Vitaly Churkin, said this cannot be acceptable for his country and is considered as an exportation of terrorism. Churkin added that Russia has received information that the current authorities in Libya have set up a special training center for armed men to be sent to Syria. He stressed that such activity would undermine stability in the Middle East. Churkin pointed out that his country is sure al-Qaeda is present in Syria and is actually carrying out terrorist operations there. United Nations and Arab League Special Envoy to Syria, Kofi Annan, said the final solution for the crisis in Syria is political. In a press statement following his talks with Egyptian Foreign Minister Mohammed Kamel Amro, Annan stressed that the Syrian opposition should cooperate in order to find a solution that meets the aspirations of the Syrian people. Annan warned that arming the opposition further will aggravate the situation in Syria. He added that all efforts will be exerted to put an end to violence in Syria. A Syrian media source had earlier welcomed Annan's visit to the country. Lebanese Foreign and Expatriates Minister Adnan Mansour has dismissed as unacceptable for his country the call made by the American ambassador to Lebanon that urged for providing protection to the armed men who enter Lebanon illegally across the borders with Syria. Adnan Mansour said Lebanon refuses to provide protection to the armed men, adding that his country acts according to its own interests, potentials, and security situation. Mansour affirmed that Lebanon does not want to create a security problem within its territories that goes beyond its capabilities and the framework of its policy. United Nations Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs Valerie Amos and the mission accompanying her yesterday visited Homs city and met several figures there. She toured a number of quarters and saw the devastation inflicted on public and private properties by the armed terrorist groups. Minister of Education Saleh Al-Rashid discussed with the United Nations Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs Valerie Amos and the accompanying delegation the situation of the education process and the efforts exerted to ensure the safe return of students to schools damaged by the terrorist armed groups. The minister underlined Syria's keenness to apply education democracy for all and the children's rights to learn, pointing out to the efforts exerted by the ministry to rehabilitate damaged schools. Of course, this comes in addition to compensating the missing lessons for students. Al-Rashid clarified that the ministry is working to achieve international standards for schools with regard to providing a secure environment and suitable curricula to guarantee a healthy upbringing. The minister handed Amos a booklet containing documented photos of sabotaging educational institutions, in addition to the harm done to workers in the sector, including threats of killing. He underlined the ministry's keenness to cooperate with the United Nations to handle the psychological harm of students due to these sabotage operations and to rehabilitate schools. Amos, for her part, thanked the Ministry of Education for its high cooperation with the United Nations and the UNICEF, expressing hope of continuous cooperation between the two sides to serve educational issues. Minister of Health Dr. Wael Al-Halaqi reviewed with Amos the situation of health services provided by hospitals and medical centers in Syria. Al-Halaqi referred to the challenges faced by the health sector regarding the misleading media campaign based on fabrications, in addition to the damages inflicted on health institutions by the armed terrorist groups. Minister Al-Halaqi expressed the ministry's keenness to play its proper role in providing health services to all, despite challenges. Amos, for her part, wondered at the discrepancy between the image created by the mass media and the situation on the ground, praising the cooperation between the Ministry of Health and UN organizations to offer the medical help needed. The 8th of March revolution marks a crucial turning point that has laid down the foundation of the advanced modern state. Here's more.
With the inception of the 8th of March revolution, the bases of the advanced contemporary state were laid down to cement the building of the society of establishments and to drive forward the wheel of growth in the country, turning Syria from a food importer to an exporting state, as the gross national product has reached 2,714 billion Syrian pounds. This momentous qualitative development could not have been achieved had Syria not adopted a diversified and fully integrated economic policy, and had it not created the adequate legislative and administrative infrastructure for this purpose. Financial stability has thus ensued, making Syria the least indebted country. The revolution has supported the agricultural domain, expanding land reclamation and developing irrigation mechanisms. It has also accorded special care to the industrial sector, whose turnout amounted to 89 billion Syrian pounds in 2010. The revolution also sought to develop health services that covered national hospitals and health centers. Similar interest has been, moreover, given to education and higher education, as compulsory education was extended to the preparatory phase, and further steps were taken in terms of higher education that included the establishment of new faculties and creating additional education opportunities through open and parallel education and virtual and private universities. Expansion also covered intermediary institutes to meet the education process demands and the development needs in Syria.
As we commemorate the World's Women's Day on the 8th of March, Syrian women invoke the distinguished positions they have attained in all domains and the achievements brought about for them through the legislations issued in their favor after the inception of the 8th of March revolution.
The Syrian woman's status was protected by the revolution, which defended the humanity of women and gave priority to their issue. It removed all obstacles in the way of their liberation. The Syrian Women's Organization was created to defend their gains, which include their membership of the highest state and party bodies that cover the Party Central Committee, the Higher Commission of Supervision and Inspection, and the People's Assembly. They have also occupied senior positions in the judiciary system and the diplomatic corps, and became ministers for the first time in 1975.
And this brings our bulletin to a close. You can find more news in English on our website, syriaonline.sy. Yurado joins us now with economy news. Stay with us.
Good afternoon. The National Project Branch for Transference to the Modern Irrigation endorsed the plan for this year. The plan included transferring 9,520 acres of the irrigated land distributed to the regions of Daraa and Nawa. The branch manager, Dr. Engineer Mahmoud al-Shahat, said that the transference processes for the modern irrigation will be according to the laws and regulations in force, especially Act number 20 of the year 2012, which is the law of the transference mandatory to the modern irrigation, issued in order to stress the rationalization of water irrigation in the agricultural operations, improving the specification of production and increasing the cost effectiveness, quality and quantity per unit area. The U.S. crude futures rose to $107.16 a barrel today amid hopes for Greece to complete the bond exchange to avoid its default. The future prices of the U.S. crude oil stabilized in the New York Mercantile Exchange after rising yesterday. European shares boosted their gains up to 1% today as the bank shares rose due to expectations about Greece's success in the bond swapping with the private investors. The Nikkei index ended 3 days of a losing streak, registering a rise today amid investors' hopes for a recovery of the U.S. economy, in addition to speculations about Greece ending a critical process of a debt swap. Gold prices rose over 1% today with a continued rise of the euro against the US dollar as investors bet on the Greece's success in completing the needed bond swaps to avoid the default. Advanced for a second day against the yen and the US dollar before Greece's debt swap offer to the private creditors. The European Central Bank announces an interest rate decision. On the other hand, the yen weakened against all of its major peers after Japan reported a record of a current account deficit, threatening to undermine the currency's haven status. That was our economic bulletin for today. Thank you for watching and goodbye.